we're going to take everyone's pieces of work together and we're going to spin some kind of historical inquiry around this. So the first thing is this, there's a spelling error there. Huh? So where did Southeast Asians came from? Actually, they came from the various tribes that were actually in Taiwan, and they're called the Austronesian language. So the place in purple shows you where they were from and first migrated to. And then by sea, they eventually traveled to the other parts of the Pacific Islands, as far as Hawaii and the Easter Islands. Over on the western side, they migrated all the way up to Madagascar. And this process took over 30 to 40,000 years, right? So if you look at Formosa or Taiwan, actually many people, some of them resemble Malays, or they resemble people like people in the Philippines as well, because they actually have the same ethnic roots and culture. So there's a language and a linguist and historian called Peter Bellwood who studies this. So there are actually many similarities in terms of the languages when it comes to those tribes in Taiwan as well as other parts of Southeast Asia. And all these places that you see were the places where they migrated to. The oceans were very shallow in this area. The waters are warm. There's not much salt content, and it was ideal for fish, coral, seaweed, and all kinds of seafood to actually grow here. And as a result, over the thousands of years, people began to migrate there. So those of you who are, so this is another map of actually what the Austronesian migration looks like. So migration was responsible for what ancient Southeast Asia looked like. And the first place that you came across were the Nia Caves. So in the Nia Caves, which is in Sarawak, Malaysia, some of you did this, you will notice that these caves are actually very high, 30 to 40 meters high, sometimes even 60 meters high. And the oldest skull that was discovered here was almost 60,000 years. And when they look at the shape of the skull and they compare with the local forest people who lived there, who call themselves the Dayak tribes, they actually have a lot of similarities, and they were expert blowpipe experts in using the blowpipe to actually hunt animals. So these were the first Southeast Asians that developed from the Homo sapiens species, the Nia Caves. If you look at the second place that you highlighted was this place that was called Udang Thani. And this is, sorry, the Banchiang archaeological site. Here, the people who migrated here began to actually develop pottery styles that used actually special red clay. And when they buried their ancestors, or whenever someone passed away, they buried them with all these archaeological artifacts, this red pottery that you had. They were also experts in creating bronze as well. The third place that of ancient Southeast Asia that I want you to take note of is this place that is high up in the mountains in Vietnam. Okay, there's a temple there that's called the Hung Temple. But all this area that you see here used to be populated by a people who call themselves, who had a culture that we came to call the Dongson culture. And they created huge drums that were like 30 meters, that were kind of like a half a meter tall, or sometimes as tall as 1 meter. And these were huge drums that had very intricate details on it. Okay, so these were the kind of drums that you saw that depicted daily lives of people, that depicted the animals that they hunted. And these drums was in such high demand and so intricately made in a village setting, because you must control fires at very high temperatures to create something as beautiful as this. And you need tin and you need metal. And that eventually they were in such high demand that they were found all across Southeast Asia. All those red spots that you see are places where the Dongson drum was found. And this is like almost 2,000 years ago, right? Between 1,005 to 2,000 years ago. So in other words, trade routes had existed among early Southeast Asians very, very early on. There's no time to watch this video, but later we can, if you have time, you can actually refer to this slide that you have, and you can actually listen to what a Dongson drum actually looks like. So this person that you see here is actually a person from the Karen ethnic minority from Myanmar, and he's playing a Dongsan drum, and singing as he goes along. And there are many other videos that you can watch about what a Dongsan drum can sound like and what Southeast Asian drumming was like. Drums were very important in Southeast Asian culture because they were believed to have magical powers. Ritual and religion was tied up with it. It was something that was handed down across different families. It showed that you had a special status in society if you possess drums like this. So drums were not just used for music. Drums also had a very special religious and a ritualistic purpose as well. Okay, there's no time for